This is Bob Balch from Fu Manchu, and you're watching Aftershock TV.
All right. Guy, you've obviously, recently interviewed Blackie Lawless from WASP. Okay. Yeah. So Blackie here, he says kids today believe music has no inherent value. He said that he believes children today don't understand the value of music because they can access an unlimited amount of music for a small price. He goes on to say that when he was growing up, he had to save up his money or do chores to buy records, and he would study the lyrics and photos on the record. He feels that children today have been robbed of the experience of discovering music in this way. Agree or disagree?
It's a lot to unpack on that statement. He's 1,000% right. The kids do not respect music as value-based. Mm-hmm. There's no value to music. The last time music had value to these kids was when Rock Band was hit. Mm-hmm. That was the last bastion of it. And that was, if you remember, the kids would save up to buy expansion packs. Mm-hmm. They would save up to buy the Metallica expansion pack or the Beatles or whatever it was. But that was the end of it. When that died, so too did any value. Mm. I blame us. I don't blame the kids. I think Blackie's way off base blaming the kids. We, 40, 50-year-old parents did a terrible job raising our kids to instill that value. We did a terrible job in it. We didn't make our kids buy albums. We bought them fucking iTunes gift cards and said, here, just pick up one song, and they'd listen to it for 3 months and delete it off their iPod, or their phone or whatever age they are. We did a terrible job at raising them. And then the other piece to this that I will continue to kick every one of these rock stars in the ass until they finally get it. Times have changed. Mm-hmm. Times have changed. Exactly. Nobody collects stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. Look, every industry that involves collecting is down. And that's not just music.
No.
Music, movies. Dude,
totally.
Take music off the table for a minute. There was a time for you, I'm assuming. I know there was a time for me when I had a cabinet full of movies, full of VHS tapes, full of DVDs. Mm-hmm. When is the last time you bought a DVD?
Well, there's no DVD players and computers and cars. Computers anymore. So
that's what I mean.
I don't buy them really anymore.
You don't buy them. You stream them because time has changed.
Yep.
And as time has changed, so too has the value of it. Mm. Even like in the world of like toys and whatever, like that's a big deal. Like people with the funk pop, whatever those things are. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those things are, I've got the big Pantera head from the game or the company that makes that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. Even that industry is going by the wayside because people don't want a bunch of shit in their house anymore.
Yeah.
Albums. Yeah, you have a bunch of albums behind you. Why? Because you're old.
Yeah.
That's why. I guarantee you your daughter has 0 albums.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably doesn't have any CDs. If she does, it's one or two that you bought her.
Exactly. Even if she got it, she probably wouldn't listen to it. Exactly.
No, she probably never pulls it out.
Go on iTunes and put it on iTunes.
Yeah. Well, the world has just changed. It's different, and these guys need to stop bitching.
I know.
Stop bitching about it. It's the way it is. Be happy that someone still gives a fuck about WASP
on
any level.
Well, I don't think he's really bitching. I think what he's just saying is, I don't think necessarily that they think it has no inherent value. I just think it's a different type of value than what we had. And like you said, I've got a almost 10-year-old daughter here. Next month she'll be 10, and I know she values music. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the same manner as we did in terms of, I want to buy, look, we just got her with this, she likes this indie rock band from San Diego called TV Girl.
Okay.
And we, I bought her a shirt. I'm doing this for one. I love it because it's not on the radio.
Sure.
So I love that she's listening to something that's not radio friendly. That's indie
it's
rock.
Not 2 Chainz or whatever.
No, exactly. None of that crap. So it's like, I like that she found something that's not a radio band that she's into. And I bought her the shirt, and because she actually even asked for it, which was great. And I'm going to buy her a vinyl, like try to spin it on my vinyl player just so she could see, He has a different experience, but it's not like you said. It's just that the overall, the key is the listening experience in general is different, right?
Yeah.
It'll have a value connection that it doesn't represent maybe the same one we have. Look, listen, he's correctly 100% right when it comes to, yes, right. One of the things that we valued about music was exactly we had to save up our money, or whatever we got, money and stuff. It was like, okay, I got to get that record, and you couldn't hear those songs
Right.
that you wanted to hear unless you bought that record or unless you happened to be on the radio. But it was a time thing, right? You had to either spend the time working or getting just a gift, or you had to spend time on the radio listening for it to come on. So it created that mystique. There's not the mystique. MTV, same thing. You had the video come on. You waited for it. All right, is it going to be in the top 20 countdown today or whatever the fuck it was, right? But that's how, in order to hear that song, you had to invest. Yeah, it wasn't available on a click like it is now. So there's no mystique to it. There's no attachment. There's no excitement. Everything's free. It's so accessible. It wasn't accessible like that to us, And so I think, this special thing to sit down, put that on the, we talk about this many times, and hold the artwork in your hand and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was an experience. And like you said, times have changed. They don't need to do that. Listen, if we could back then, if we were able to go click on our computer and play it. I mean, I had those computers back then, Commodore 64 and Apple IIe and Apple IIg, all these computers. Yeah, if that was on there, I would never buy a record. I'd be like, I'm going to get this thing for free. I'll just spend my money. I'm going to spend that money for playing video games and buying candy or baseball cards or whatever. So, I mean, the business, when you think about the music business itself, it created that experience in order to maximize that profit. Right? When music, now think about the intro to music, right? When music first came out, when there was no recording of a music, it was a purely live experience, right? You had to go to see it live if you wanted to even experience music. Okay, well, then they created studios where it's like, well, we could record this. Now, the recordings we all knew sounded like shit back then. Right. But hey, once they were able to create a recording for sale, okay, that's when the value got huge, right? But other than that, you could only back in the day before there was any records, you could only experience music by going to see it live.
Sure.
Right. So, and those early records from back in the day, like I said, what did they also do? Those records, all they did was have a picture of the band on a white background. Exactly. There was no this stuff all got big more when it came to the 70s and the 80s. Exactly. To have the big inserts and the artwork and the liner notes and creating that. So they just kept creating a newer experience for each generation. This generation, look, the business hasn't created that. There is none for them. So it's not, like you said, it's not their fault. Stop shitting on kids. They're just working with the hand they've been dealt with. Yeah.
And this is probably my pet peeve to this whole kind of thought, criticism, whatever Blackie's doing here. If you're going to call somebody out, then don't be part of the problem.
Yeah,
he's part of the problem.
It's true.
He's saying, well, the kids don't save up to buy their records. So well, you put out a couple of records in the last 10 years. How come you put those on fucking Spotify?
Yeah, why aren't they just only on?
Why aren't they on waspnation.com or whatever your website is? Because you're playing into it and then you're bitching about it. So stop it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's actually bitching. It's just that he's just maybe stating a fact,
but even if he's stating a fact, he's still doing it.
True.
He's blaming the kids. The kids don't see the value in it. Well, you're part of the reason that the kids don't see value in your product.
No, it's true. Well, and we always said, too, we've talked about this a million times. We were sick and tired of spending money on shitty products.
Yes.
Of music. So, yeah, like now, yes, if I'm going to buy your album, it better be damn good or I'm just going to listen to it for free. If it's really good, I will buy it on vinyl. But again, I think what kills these musicians is we have other options now to get their music. And yes, it's that cash cow that it once was in the 80s. It will never be that way again. And in a way, yes, I'm happy about that. So that we don't waste our. I mean, how many times when you were a kid, exactly, we saved up to buy that record, and how many times was that thing a piece of shit? And you're like, damn, I wasted that on this. And we're older, of course. We've got steady income coming in. It's a little bit different. But as a kid,
it still sucks, though.
It still sucks, of course. It really sucked as a kid when you had no money, and then the money you did have and you spent, you got a cassette tape or a record, and it was crap.
Yeah. There was nothing worse than that. And that still sucks, dude. I'm gonna be honest. It was 3 years ago, maybe. I bought what will be the last CD that I ever buy.
Okay.
It was the last Rob Zombie record.
Okay.
I'm a big Rob Zombie fan. I went, bought the stupid thing, read all the stupid press. It was on Nuclear Blast. Read all the stupid press about this thing's the return to form. It's going to be throwback to the White Zombie and the Hellbilly Deluxe. And it was a 32-minute bag of shit. Bag of shit. And I just was like, you know what? I'm not, as a 50-whatever-year-old guy, I'm not going to buy this stuff anymore. I'm going to do what everybody says I shouldn't do. I'm going to go and listen to it on Spotify or on YouTube or whatever. And if it's good, it's good. I'll listen to it there because I just don't have a need anymore. I've been burned way. If you took our collections, if you took that album collection behind you, I'm sure that's all your favorite records of all time. I'm guessing, right?
I would say
For the most part.
I mean, a lot of them are, sure.
Okay.
There's a lot of those in there, yes.
Would you agree with me that half the songs are dogs?
Oh, of course they are. Absolutely.
What does that say? Now, you're a money-spending piece of the community
Sure.
that invests in your music, and half of it is shit.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's always been a problem. If anything, today's technology eliminates the problem.
I know, I dude, and I've been saying that. And that's why I keep saying, and all these things we're doing, I always said, if your record is that good, it will sell.
Yeah.
People still look, like I said, my philosophy or my buying habits, I should say, when it comes to buying anything now, it's I'm either buying a classic, album that I know I like, or the other thing is if I'm going to a record store and they got used records, and if there's like, okay, this thing is a used record for $3.99, but it's got a couple songs from that band I like on that record, the whole thing might be great, but I'm only spending $4, I'll buy it. But for new music, yes, I love having Spotify and YouTube or whatever, so I can hear the songs first. If that thing, listen, I just bought 2 records. This is awesome band, it's a stoner doomie band from the UK called Sergeant Thunderhoof. Dude, I paid. They're a phenomenal band, and I paid about $40-$50 for each one of those records because they're that good.
Right.
And I wanted that new, and I know there's also not a huge, there's not a huge supply of it. So and there's a lot of people that love that band, and so yes, that's a great business model. Don't press up that many records. Charge high for the ones you do because you've got the quality of your product is backing up where it's worth me spending that money. Yeah. Again, I do buy it for that, but I will of course listen to that record first. And if it's got a hell of it, if it grabs me, I'm gonna support it. But that's what's great. That's why I love it, because then I don't have to waste my money on a bag of shit because I might have heard one song that I think is really good, and then all of a sudden the rest of it's crap. Like I said, people want to complain. Look, the other thing too is when we talk about all those albums now costing money back in the day, well, we got to think about it too. At least with those records, okay. There was a lot of people with their hands in the cookie jar with that money you were spending, because you didn't just have the bands, you had the management, you had the producers, you had all those studio people, labels. Yeah. There was so many people behind putting that out, which is what made it so good. Nowadays, if you think you're going to go ahead and charge $20 for me to buy a piece of music for something that you written, recorded in your bedroom,
right? Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here. There's no one behind that. There's no great producers. There's no studio guys that are helping to make that thing timeless. This music these days coming out is not timeless because they're not also putting the time in to make it timeless, in my opinion.
No, you're 100% right, and it just. It's funny. I chatted yesterday with Phil Soussan, the legendary bassist, and he's now a producer guy. And one of the things he said to me was about how we were talking about the old style versus the current style. And one of the things he said was about there's so many plugins and stuff now that were not around back then that it's music that could not have been made back then. And in my head, that's like, okay, so the organic aspect is gone.
Yeah.
Is gone.
It's gone.
And you still want me to pay for something that you're literally generating on your computer.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you want me to pay full price. You still want me to pay $18. Exactly. It's not like it's $10 to, if anything, it's more money.
Yeah.
To buy a vinyl that Blackie Lawless is going to record in his home studio.
Exactly.
No,
with no producer behind it, no other voice, just something you concocted and went, I'm
Yeah.
doing this for a piece of product. So like, they say now people put out records so they can tour.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, and if you keep putting out shitty records, okay, those tours, you're going to see a lot less people. I mean, you still need to put out a good product.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
How
like
about
WASP,
this part of it too? How about if you're going to put out a record, how about you play some of the fucking songs from it?
well, that too. That's the thing too, right? I mean, some of these guys maybe play one. Well, you're also showing then to your audience what you think of your new music.
Yeah.
By only playing maybe one song from your new record. I mean, listen, it was always traditional to play at least, 3 songs from the new record. But if you only got one good song on there, and again, then you want people to shell out money just to continue so that you could keep touring
so
and
that you
have
can
a
go
career?
and play the same old songs over and over. And
Again.
dude, you got what astounds me on this point is that if you look at every one of the bands that are mega successful, they all still promote their new product. Metallica,
True.
Iron Maiden,
Yeah.
They're the biggest.
Yeah.
And what do? Iron Maiden's still playing like 6 new songs.
Yeah.
They're Iron Maiden. They've got 50 hits or 50 popular metal songs. Metallica, too. Metallica does not need to ever play a song from 72 seasons.
No, exactly.
They don't ever need to do it. But do
But
they?
will.
They play 4 or 5 of them.
Sure.
But yet these guys, the guys that are on the lower tier playing the 500 to 1,000 seaters, what are they doing? Well, I'm going to play my first album in its entirety and then 2 other hits and then leave the stage. No.
Exactly. Well,
then your new music means nothing. So don't make it.
Exactly. Or just don't, if you do make it, don't expect to sell a lot of it.
Yeah. Sell it for $5 at your shows.
Well, then that too, right? We've talked about that. I mean, I remember, when I remember a handful of years ago, they did CDs started to come down and they were costing only $9.99. I was like, okay, now people are going to start buying CDs again. But once again, I said, I get it from outside factors, from, production. I mean, from manufacturing standpoints, everything. I understand it costs a lot to make these. Not, went through that whole vinyl thing with the pandemic, with the shipping thing that was taking almost a year. I get all these holdups, but again, listen, just like anything, if it's not rocket science. If you put out a good product, people will buy it.
Yeah.
If you're coming out with one decent song and a bunch of crap, with songs that were put together, and you put together an album, and you really didn't sit there and really hammer it out, and you just did it because, like they said, we're just putting out new music to tour. Well, then again, don't complain when no one buys it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just to collect and to put, like you said, just going back to what you said earlier. This new generation doesn't want to buy stuff either.
No.
I listen. I don't want to buy stuff. I used to love collecting stuff. I hate it now. I'm trying to get rid of stuff.
Yeah, same here.
It's too much stuff I have. And if I'm going to buy stuff, it's going to be stuff I really want to hang on to, that I don't want to get rid of. So make a product that people don't want to get rid of and have to listen to it once, and people will continue to buy your product. But and they'll continue to have a great experience. Yeah. But when the music's also diluted, are they going to have a great experience listening to shit music? No.
But and this is a major complaint of mine, and it is not the band's fault; it's the business's fault. Stop re-releasing this shit. Stop with this is the new remaster with 2 bonus tracks, because now you can't even buy your favorite record. And Roadrunner is the one that showed the world to do this. And now it's just out of control. Because I remember Roadrunner back in the 90s.
Yep.
They'd release a record, and 3 months later it was, here's the deluxe version. And it had 4 new tracks on it. It was the 4 tracks that weren't good enough for the album.
The digipacks. Yeah.
Yes, and I used to fucking get so mad because I would spend, I was a big fan of Sepultura and Soulfly. Yeah. And I would buy those records, and then 3 months later, here's the...
couple of bonus tracks,
Yeah, here's the bonus track version. So now I got to buy it a second time.
I know.
But now it's off the train. If you like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, I'm just throwing one out there.
Sure.
Now there's a $500 box set with it.
I know, it's insane, dude.
Are you kidding me? It's 12 songs. I don't need 14 discs on 12 songs.
Well, like we said, how many times do we still get these press releases, at least once a year, if not twice, about a new remastered whatever of Motorhead?
Yeah.
I mean, how many Motorhead records have come out since Lemmy's died?
More than probably when he was...
That he was a right. No, exactly.
Dude, it's every 3 months there's something.
I know.
Motorhead.
Always. We get so many press releases about Motorhead stuff.
And I love Motorhead. I mean,
sure, of course.
I've stated it a million times. I've dedicated every one of my books to Lemmy. I'm a huge Motorhead fan. But I don't need new video. I mean, the guy died, what, 9 years ago?
Yeah, at least. Yeah,
I
about
think it was
9, 10 years ago.
2006 or whatever. 2007?
No, I know, like 2004. It was in like 14-ish,
Not
2014, I think.
14, 15.
Yeah, I think it was 10 years ago. I think it was 10
I
years
meant that, but I'm
Yeah.
stupid. But yeah, I mean, it's been 10 years.
Yeah,
It's over.
it's over.
Let him be a legend.
Exactly.
Let his legacy be his legacy.
But we're talking about the music business that we just talked about it being scummy as fuck, and that's exactly what it's going to be.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right.
I had an interest in music always.
It's always kind of been around me some way, shape, or form.
5 minutes sitting on a drum set, man, change your life.
This is the same black guitar that Marty McFly plays in Back to the Future.
I love the feeling I get in front of the freaking full stack here, just the vibration or something to it.
I'm lucky because I do have a little bit of a tap into the Fu Manchu lore, into the Nebula lore.
In order to keep things going, you kind of have to like start playing the game a little bit, you know, like the business game.
Everybody has to get through a day-to-day, and how do you exist and how do you get by?
As far as getting people to commit to bands, it's tough to keep a lot together these days, for sure.
Still sleeping on people's floor, that's still a reality.
Probably also playing with some of the best people I've ever played with. The creative juices don't stop. It just keeps going.
For me, it's just finding a balance of how much time I'm spending with my family versus how much time I'm spending working.
It's this validation that what you're doing actually has merit.
Obviously, we're a little long in the tooth, and we've been doing this for a minute, and now we can kind of do what we want. We don't need a record company. I'll do it myself. I'll do it the way I want to.
Just always be cool. Just be respectful. Those are your people. They're connecting to you on some level, even if they don't look like you.
It's got to happen, you know, or else I'll go crazy. I'll go crazy one way or another, you know. I might as well, you know, not go crazy if I can play music.
Maybe one day I'll have a Porsche, but you know, until that day, I'll drive a Chevy.
There you go.
All right.